Hey y'all, I am really excited about this next series that I'm starting because I have never shared my story with y'all. So that's what I'm going to be doing over the next few weeks, and I'm also going to add in a lot of other information and good discussion topics. So as far as I know at this point in my life, I am infertile. It is a sad thing to think about, but I have been experiencing it so long that I have found ways to laugh about it, and it makes me feel better to make jokes about it and be silly about it. You kind of have to. If you're someone who is experiencing infertility, you know how hard it is to be surrounded by so many people that make it seem, at least, so easy to get pregnant and have babies over and over again. And it really seems like some people's husbands just look at them and boom, they're pregnant. And I feel like my husband looked at me and I start my period. I mean, it's silly, but that's what it feels like. And it's so hard sometimes to be in that situation. And again, infertility is just a sad thing. It makes me sad when I sit and think about it. But what makes me even more sad is when I think about the fact that I might not necessarily be in this position today. If at my first gynecology visit, my doctor had not just offered me birth control to fix my problems, but sat there and took time with me to hear me out, to listen to all my problems, and then try to problem solve and find out what were the underlying causes of these problems. Has anyone had this experience? I know you have. It's like, don't you feel like you would just go to the gynecologist and no matter what the issue is, and avoiding pregnancy aside, I feel like it's like, oh, I have pain. Okay, well, let me write you a prescription for birth control, or my cycle is irregular, or, my hormones are just out of whack, my PMS, whatever it is. I feel like it's just, okay, well, I will start you on this birth control. And it has to be because of that birth control has become such a norm in our culture. It is very normal for us to know people or not know people closely, but just hear, oh, like I'm on this type of birth control or that type of birth control. But why? Do we know what birth control does? Have we ever stopped to ask those questions? Do we know what the birth control is doing to my body, what it's not doing to my body? I think we should. I think we should start to ask those questions about anything we're putting into our bodies, especially something that is as serious as birth control. A lot of people argue that birth control is or should be a right. Others demand choice. Still, others insist that it's access to birth control that makes me feel empowered as a woman. And I'm sorry, but I disagree. I think that is not until we not only know all of our options, but that we're educated on them and understand all our options and know our bodies and how they work. It is only then that we can make an educated decision on how to move forward with our health, our women's health, our health care. Birth control can still be a choice, but there's a lot of other choices and options out there. So that's what we're all about. We want to take back these terms and truly empower women. And I want to read y'all an awesome quote that I found recently that perfectly explains this idea. An educated woman making an uninformed choice isn't really making a choice at all. That makes so much sense. That's from Save the Storks. So, to get a little more personal, I will tell y'all a little bit about myself and start from the beginning. So, growing up as a child, I think a lot of us think these things. It is so normal for us to just refer to our future children as if they are a definite. Like we say, like, oh, my daughter will never do this, or my son will never do that, or my son is gonna play football, or like, I would never let my child do that. We constantly say things like that as we grow up, just assuming it is a fact, and I was one of those people. And it wasn't until I found out later the hard way that it wasn't gonna come that easily. And there's nothing wrong with saying those things, but I think that we take our fertility for granted, and it's just another part of our health. So we have to take care of it just like we take care of the rest of our bodies. And you don't want to wait till you realize things aren't working so well, you get diagnosed with some type of disease to start taking care of it and understanding how your body works. You want to be ahead of that. So it's just that mindset that I regret, so that I could have been ahead of any problems or anything that didn't look normal. In high school, I was very active. I played volleyball, basketball, and softball. And I had a lot of fun, but there was a lot of things that I couldn't do because I was on my period and having a lot of pain. And y'all, it is not normal for girls in high school to have severe pain with their periods. It has been so confusing as girls as we grow up and we start our periods and we go through high school with all the issues that high school already has, for us to be dealing with like severe hormone problems or heavy bleeding or lots of pain during their period. At least when I was in high school, it was just something that you didn't talk about. You just dealt with it. Like, if you have a lot of pain with your period or any pain with your period, like that's just the rule. Like, that's just how it is. You have to deal with it, or you have to take birth control. And it's not the truth. We have to stop living that lie as women. Dr. Hildreth teaches that only some pain is normal with periods. If you're a girl of any age and you have anything more than some minor pain and discomfort with your period, you should seek treatment for that. So I started my period, I was around 13 years old or so, and it was after that each year, over several years, it got heavier and it got a lot more painful. Those were my only two symptoms that I had. I shouldn't use only lightly because those are pretty serious symptoms, but it just kept getting worse over the years. And so I went to my first gynecology appointment. I was about, I think, 18 years old, and I put it off because I obviously have heard the stories, like I didn't want to go and have that dreaded first appointment. But part of me was actually kind of looking forward to it because I was thinking, okay, it's been 5 years now. I've been having this pain that has gotten so bad and really affects my life. Obviously, doctors figure out why we have pains and fix them, right? Like, I was so naive back then. I assumed she would ask me all these questions and spend all this time with me. But as is not probably very surprising to you, I went in to that first appointment and I briefly explained these things. And I say briefly because she didn't give me a whole lot of time and just automatically prescribed me some birth control or asked me if I wanted to take birth control. And for whatever reason back then, I just didn't want to do it. I wasn't into taking medicines. If I didn't have to, I didn't take medicine really a lot back then. So, and like I said, I was hoping she would do a little more investigation into the problems themselves. So I declined it. And that was it. I couldn't believe it. That was the extent of the visit. She was like, okay, that's it. I will see you in a year for your next appointment or checkup, whatever. And I walked out the door feeling so disappointed and helpless. I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that feeling. Like I still remember that feeling so disappointed that, okay, I guess I just have to keep having these problems. And that's why I say this is so sad now, because now I know that I didn't have to keep having those problems. But I felt like I was at a real crossroads. I only have two decisions. I can either take birth control or not. Surely there's another option. But I'm gonna leave y'all here today because I don't want to make these videos too long. And I will pick up next time and tell y'all about what happened next. I can't wait till next week. I'll talk to y'all soon.